I'm Queen ShanShan, and this is a broadcast podcast.
Hey girl, hey, this is your girl, Queen ShanShan, and welcome to a true brand new episode of A Broadcast Podcast. Thanks for being here, and I'm so excited to be back. Yay! You guys listened to last week's show, episode 26. I've been around the world and I
can't find my baby.
Can't find my baby. You guys have shown a lot of support on that episode. You apparently like to hear me talk about traveling and my experiences and tips and everything. Well, thank you so much, because that's been a very popular podcast this week. So thank you. Travel and culture is our main tea of the show, and I hope to bring more of that to you in the future episodes. So what does that mean? More travel. Yay! In the meantime, I want to acknowledge some new listeners, some new broads in the world, and welcome Argentina and Iran. So I want to say, hola, ¿cómo está? And salam. We are now officially in 35 countries, y'all. So thank you so much for your support, and I really can't believe it. 35 countries are listening to my little show.
Yeah.
Yes, so thank you so much. So tonight, I am so excited and beyond excited to have another good friend, and really he's a good friend. I mean, all of the people on my show have been good friends, true. But we have Dr. Arnel Calvario.
Yeah.
Yes, and he works.
So happy.
He is a doctor, you guys. He's an occupational therapist, a world-renowned choreographer, a philanthropist, and an activist. And on this episode, we get into it with Arnel. We're going to talk about our history, our friendship history, how we met, Arnel's education into becoming a doctor, occupational therapist, the world of dance and what drives his passion about the art, and how to basically balance both passions, being a doctor and being a dancer, the infamous Madonna Minute, the rise and fall, or the potential fall, I should say, of Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics. We'll get into who she is and what's going on with her and the drama that's proceeding right now. All this and more after the break. Edward, I'm hungry.
I'm always hungry.
What do you feel like having for dinner today?
Always pizza.
Ma's Italian Kitchen.
Boom.
Let's look them up. They're in Burbank, California.
Oh, easy.
You ready to go?
Yes.
Ma'sItalianKitchen.com and tell them Queen ShanShan sent ya. And we are back with Dr. Arnel Calvario.
Really happy to be here. Love you. And by the way, I really, really love Ma's Italian Kitchen. The food is so authentic, so delicious, and the staff are amazing.
Well, Michelle would love to hear that from you.
Yes, love Michelle too.
We love Michelle. Thanks, Michelle. We love your food, and we love that you were sponsoring our show. So let's get into it. Arnel, what's up, man?
Happy to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being here. I'm so honored. Arnel, you guys, I'm looking at his bio right now, and it's like ridiculous. I can't even go through everything that he's done, because you're gonna be like, did Superman come to Shannon's show?
Basically, we've done nothing with our lives.
We've done nothing. I might as well just go into my hole and sink in and say, you know what? Arnel's here. Bye. Bye. Arnel, believing in his talents and resources, you promote community outreach.
Yes.
And you are, what I love about you is that you do have respect for all the people. And I see that you have quoted here in your bio that respect for all the people, artistic expression, and education. And you are a doctor. Mm-hmm. You graduated from UC Irvine and in 1992, right?
Yes, yeah.
And formerly...
Well, actually, I started in 1992.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I graduated a little bit after that.
Okay.
Took a little while.
A little overachiever. Like, when did you graduate?
I was actually on the 5-year plan, because I
Okay.
was a bio major, and then I did a little psych anything.
Okay, so you always wanted to be in the medical field in some way.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, I grew up on my mom's side with a lot of health professionals. It's like really strong on my mother's side. So I was inspired by a lot of those relatives. So I was always kind of interested in being a health professional. Okay. And my mom was, of course, like encouraging me to be a doctor.
Of course, but she also knew you loved to dance.
Yes, because I grew up. I mean, I was born the same year that hip hop was created. So my entire childhood was watching cyphers, going to jams, watching live DJs. And so I grew up in the culture. That was like my neighborhoods at the park, at school. That was like the thing.
And you're Filipino. So in the Filipino culture, you guys really gravitated to the hip hop culture.
Yeah.
Which is mostly obviously African American, the Black culture that started the whole hip hop R&B culture, years and years and years ago.
Yep.
You started, we're going to get into all the true tea, but we're just going to go through the bullet points. You started and formulated Kaba Modern. Right, and that was also in Orange County, and that is a dance crew or dance class. What is it exactly?
We call it a dance family.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that later. But yeah, we're a dance family, and that competes. Yeah, we're a competition group. So I started in 1992 when I was a freshman at UC Irvine. So yeah.
Okay. And then you also helped create the famous Kinjaz.
Well, two really talented, positive-minded dancers that were best friends from two different crews. I was kind of their big brother, and then they're the founders, Mike Song and Anthony Lee.
Got it.
I encouraged them, and I was a leader for groups that they were in, and then it was their turn. They created this amazing brotherhood, and I'm part of it.
The Kinjaz Brotherhood, and we're going to get into the Kinjaz tea on that because that's like really world famous. and you guys have done so much. I've been watching you since day one, like literally so proud of you guys. Amazing. And we're going to just talk about the combination and how you balance the two passions, being a doctor and being a choreographer and following your dreams. And what I also loved about you, which I already said, is that you're a philosopher. You're very positive. You say positive things. I don't think I've ever seen you frown. And I know you frown, right? You do frown, right? Yeah. You do have shitty days, right?
Of course.
But ever since I've known you, and I've known you for 6-7 years now, you have been a light. Everybody aspires to be you. They want to hang around with you. They want to be a succubus and suck the energy from you, possibly. Maybe that's a good thing and it's a bad thing. And everybody who knows you and who have been introduced to you can say the same thing, that you are a positive, loving person. And now you're in a loving relationship.
Yes.
We're going to talk about that too.
Yeah.
This is Pride Month, y'all. So we're going to we are definitely encouraging the LGBTQ community this month, but not just in June, but all the time. And you are a gay man living in Los Angeles, so we're going to talk about that aspect too. So let's get into it. Family history of doctors, and your mom says you're going to be a doctor.
Yeah, she encouraged me. I mean, I told her at a young age that that's my dream, and part of that is because I'm a mama's boy, and I knew that she wanted, and I, since I had an interest in being a health professional, I did it, and that's why I went to UC Irvine. I was a bio major, so which is pretty much pre-med.
Okay.
But I went on a medical mission to the Philippines during that time, and yes, I was very active with dance throughout college. But I went on a medical mission to the Philippines where a group of doctors volunteer and they do free surgeries. So I did cataract surgeries, tumor resections, delivered babies.
Wow.
And I realized that I had more of an interest in the recovery room and checking on them after.
Aftercare.
So, yes. And everything else seemed so procedural, which is me. I'm a people person. I like to connect with people. So I found myself always down in the rehab unit, down in the rehab area. So when I came back from the medical mission, I said, you know what, I might be a doctor, but I think I'm really belong in rehab. So I'm going to look into the hospitals. I'm going to volunteer at all the departments. I'm going to bump into it. And I kind of got attracted to physical therapy originally. Then I worked a couple of physical therapy jobs, and then I bumped into occupational therapy, and that was just it. Because Occupational therapy operates out of a biopsychosocial model, and those are my favorite subjects: biology, sociology, and psychology. I had already been taking those classes just naturally with electives, and I discovered this field when I was a senior in college. So, you know what I mean? It came later, so I had to just basically finish my bio major, but I had a psych minor.
Okay.
And then after that, I went to USC to do my master's and my doctorates.
Ooh, go Trojans.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And how long did it take you to get your master's? Or was it PhD?
Actually, so I got into USC, the master's program is 2.5 years.
Okay.
And so I did that. And then the year I graduated, they actually launched the clinical doctorate program because they already had the PhD program.
Okay.
And I liked all the clinical courses because if I were going to teach anything, it would be physiology or labs or, you know, anything that has to do with actual people-to-people like interaction. So I went for it. I was in the first graduating class of USC's clinical doctorate
What year was
program. That was 2002.
Oh my
wow.
goodness.
Yeah,
It's pretty recent. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It feels recent.
It feels recent,
Yeah.
right?
It's not that recent.
You know, it feels like it was just yesterday, and then
Yeah.
that's a trip that I've been, you know, a clinician now for 17 years.
Unbelievable. Well, you don't
But
look at
it
it
feels
all.
like it was yesterday,
Yeah,
you know.
Well, I think again, part of your attitude and your outlook at life makes you look young and keeps you young as well. But you're also a dancer, right? And so
Yeah.
you're dealing with a lot of young people, and you're teaching them, but you're doing things that you love, exercising every day. Because being a dancer, you're getting your workout on.
Yeah.
You're
yeah.
dancing for hours at times, right?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know what an occupational therapist
Oh,
is.
totally.
Oh, okay. That's
So
that's
it's
a
like, I'm
great
thinking, like,
question.
Great
You go to-
lead-in, Edward.
You go to
question.
work and help people learn how to work. It's not about occupation, but not occupational. So what?
Yes.
Just kind of educate me and us on like what they do.
Yeah, so we are the clinicians that help people get back to the things that occupy their time. So occupations are things that occupy time. So it's best to like do an analogy. So for example, you know, God forbid, you know, I got in a car accident and half of my body is partially paralyzed, and so I only have full use of my right side. The speech therapist would work on communication, being able to use all your vocal cords, you know, being able to eat properly. The physical therapist is like physical, so it's everything mobility related, right? And we're everything else. We're the function people. So we're going to be the ones that help you do the things that occupy your time. So what are the things that occupy your time? I need to get myself dressed. I need to type on a laptop. I need to be able to get into my car. I need to...
Wow.
I never knew this.
Yeah.
I never knew
So
that.
in the hospital, we're the ones that are going to teach them, you know what, you know, your life isn't over. You just have to live, you might have to live your life differently. So you are going to put on your shirt with this one-handed technique. And because your body's a certain way, we're going to do this. So it's very creative.
Yeah.
And that's why when I did physical therapy, I loved it because they're helping people. It's very, you know, it's, you know, you're working with the patient, but it seemed, you know, exercise programs, you know, so it seemed kind of almost similar to a surgeon because you're prescribing these programs, and it started to feel repetitive. But with an occupational therapist, it's not repetitive because you have to customize it to what that person does and what their life looks like. So the very first thing when I had a rehab, because I worked at Children's Hospital LA on the rehab unit for 12 years.
Wow.
And when I get a new patient, the first thing I do is I talk to the family, I talk about the kid about what was your life like for the last year? What are the things that you like to do? And then that's how I make my goals, and that's how I shape my entire treatment. As I do, if she used to get up, you know, make herself breakfast, go put on her makeup, and then go to high school. Those are the skills we're going to work on. We're going to work on, okay, when you get up, you're going to need to grab the rail. We need to put all your clothes on the bottom drawer now so you can reach it easily. When you get up, you need to step on your strong foot, and then you need to lean over the side. You know what I mean? It's like, it's basically you're helping them recreate their life.
Do you go to their homes and help them do this as well?
That was the last step of rehab I would visit the home, and I would advise parents on, okay, you know what, she in the bathtub it'd be too slippery with only one leg balance, so she needs to have a chair, or she needs to have a rail.
Advise on what they need.
Do. So it's super, it's like, it's the art of therapy.
Right.
And it's so me. You know, it's a perfect, it's like the unknown field, yet there's so many jobs because...
Can I interrupt real quick? You're choreographing their life. You're a
Yes.
choreographer as a dancer.
Good analogy.
And you are choreographing their life, period.
Yeah.
That's interesting how you're tying in that with your passions. But both passions do
Yes.
equal each other.
They do. They both have a creative element to it, and
Yeah.
even like they influence each other, because even how my philosophy with dance is influenced by my trade as an occupational therapist. You know, how I nurture dancers, and then how I approach my treatments is very creative because I believe in that.
Wow.
Basically taking a 1-2 step in life.
Mm-hmm.
1-2 step, cha-cha-cha.
Yeah.
Hi, Madonna. Hi, Madonna. Are you listening? Hashtag Madonna Minute.
It must be very emotional too. Is it an emotional? Because you
Yes.
well, you have
Oh,
to
I'm
deal with
sure.
the emotions, because I'm assuming that somebody might not have a limb anymore, or a leg, or
Yes.
something, or finger.
The saddest one, and that's why I always, when people get in car accidents, I always say, like, you know, is there any brain damage? Because anything physical, you can kind of figure out how you're going to live your life
Right.
again. But that was the sad parts, you know, if there's like a tumor growing in their brain.
Oh, right.
And that's also why I left Children's Hospital LA. I mean, I love the work, but it took so much out of me because
Emotion.
you're dealing with oncology patients, you know, and car accidents, you know what I mean?
But you are still working with pediatrics to this day.
I am.
In Long Beach
I work,
School?
Yeah, but I work in the Long Beach Unified School District.
Right.
So it's I'm working more on school-related tasks. So most of the things I'm working on are like being able to write, be able to access their keyboard, being able to play on the playground, being able to draw. You know,
Fun stuff.
So it's, you know, it's not life or death. It's still progress and it's still function, but it's lighter. You know.
Well, that brings
So.
me to a subject that I wanted to talk to you about. Since you're an occupational therapist, you deal with, in pediatrics, you're dealing with children who are autistic.
Yes, a lot. Actually, most of my caseload are children with autism. Various levels, you know, the spectrum is so wide.
The spectrum
so,
is very wide.
You know, there are more milder symptoms, and then there are, you know, more severe. So.
What are your thoughts? We talked about this last week. What are your thoughts? Autism is such a hot topic these days because we are getting more autistic children than ever before. I don't remember in my classroom years that I knew of an autistic child. If they were, they were in special ed. They weren't in the classes that I was in.
True.
They had the special ed classes, and special ed is on a rise these last 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And most of them do house autistic children.
Yeah, it's great where we're at now, because now that they have a word for it, you know, there's an actually diagnostic criteria, and it's more about inclusion now, because you're right, even when I was growing up, well, we're close to the same age, actually.
Yeah. You're 10 years older than me, right?
Yes. Wink, wink. Aries sister.
He's 60, I'm 42.
Okay, yes. Right. But yeah, they were very segregated, you know, and now it's really about inclusion, you know.
And special ed was also like a stigma too.
Yes.
They were considered the dumb kids.
Yeah,
And
or
it was sad.
They were all like they were in that room on that side of the campus.
You couldn't figure them out.
You rode the short bus.
Yeah,
and that was unfortunately, kids were making fun of children.
Terrible.
It was terrible.
It was terrible.
How do you include children who are artistic and who are not artistic, and how do the bullying? There's still bullying, I'm sure, that are in these schools. I mean, how does that happen? How does that work?
And it is different per district and per school, obviously. But there's laws like the IDEA. You know, there are laws out there that really pretty much, you know, demand that schools look at ways to include all kids of all abilities, you know, with whatever they have. So a lot of the times it's during the social activities like the assembly, sometimes, you know, recess, lunch, sometimes more of the science classes, they look for ways to, you know, really integrate. But
Why science, I wonder?
I think it just depends on the instruction and the level. At the younger years, it's more like, you know, it's more, you know, experimental, and, you know, there's more activities. Of course, later on, it's very detailed, so that's more difficult. So in elementary, there's a lot of opportunities to kind of really integrate them, you know, and it's good. What I find from the schools I cover, it's good on all ends. Like the gen ed kids benefit from learning about people that are different than them, and then these kids with autism are learning social skills, and you know they're practicing skills that they're learning in their class, you know, with the gen ed population. Like everyone wins, and it's really about the principle. You know, if they create a culture where there's a lot of education and a lot of advocacy, then it just becomes part of the culture. It's just the way it is. And, so.
Is this hopefully sweeping the country, or is it still
It's
mostly
really
main
big.
inner cities?
You mean the
Like Los Angeles, New York, like Chicago.
Yeah.
But we're talking like Midwest or rural areas where they need this type of advocacy.
I feel like the incidence of autism is so widespread now, even throughout the Midwest, that parents, most of the parents of kids with autism are advocates, like very strong advocates for their kids. So I feel like most districts are pushing towards inclusion, whether people are skilled at it or not. The quantity of it or not varies.
Yeah.
But everyone is expected to in the country,
Can we touch the subject real quick? Another hot topic with autism and diet. As you know, there's some celebrities out there who have pushed being an anti-vaxxer, and they are suspecting that vaccinations have led to children being autistic. So you have a movement that are anti-vaxxers, and then you have the movement that is me. I'm old school. I believe in vaccinating children. Yeah. Why are we having this outbreak of measles right now? Why are we having these other diseases that were non-existent 90, 80 years ago? Is polio next? If I had a child, I would definitely vaccinate my child. But there is an argument to the side of the anti-vaxxers. And some of the anti-vaxxers believe it's the diet that they choose that their children. Like there was a document that me and Heather, we were watching 2 weeks ago on Netflix called The Magic Pill. And it argued the fact that diet played a role in this child who was severely autistic. And when the parents switched their diet to a healthy meat-eating, vegetable-eating diet, that the child she was nonverbal. She started talking within days and started acting differently. I mean, the child fought. They were feeding her Doritos and goldfish chips.
Jesus, no wonder.
That was her breakfast. That was her lunch. Like it was horrible.
No wonder.
Because she would have a fit, and the parents didn't want her to have a fit every day. She was having tantrums. So when they implemented a stricter diet to the child did a 180. What are your thoughts on diet and anti-vaxxers?
Well, the vaccination thing has been that one's probably been existing the longest in terms of, getting a lot of media coverage and whatever.
Yeah.
But all of us in the field know that there isn't a large enough sample size that has been conclusive to even prove that vaccinations are the cause. There has been no proven link at this point, and most of the studies that a lot of people are citing are very small sample size. So
when you say sample size, what does that mean?
It means that when they have a study or an experiment, to have a really strong study, you need a lot of people participating in the study to test it, to have a good sample to kind of draw your data from. And most of these studies that are pretty much saying that vaccinations are the cause are very small.
Okay.
So if it's only a small part of the population and it's not it's not as conclusive or as strong. And the other one that's really popular is gluten. So there's been a lot of talk about removing gluten for your diet, and that's the cure. But to be honest, being in the field, I've seen over 200 kids with autism. It's only worked out of all the kids I've seen, maybe for 2.
If they didn't have gluten in their diet?
Removing gluten and seeing if that changed anything. So that's again another example of it might work for someone, it may not, but there still isn't enough evidence showing that that's an effective treatment for all.
As a doctor, though, do you encourage the eating of more fruits and vegetables and more meat, not meat byproducts, meat products, chicken, beef, fish? Maybe not pork. Pork is not really. A lot of countries obviously ban pork for religious reasons too, because pork is not really a healthy meat. But beef and rich meats like that. Do you, as a doctor, support that type of the keto diet is huge right now?
Yeah. I feel like every that's why when someone comes to me and says, "Oh, well, we're gonna try eliminating gluten," I'm always like, "Yeah, you should try that. But you should trial it for a certain amount of time because it doesn't work for everyone, and you don't want to remove gluten for 10 years." and then find
Wow.
out it didn't really make a difference because
Okay.
it's so, you know what I mean? So I always feel like if someone's really hell-bent on trying it, then try it because it may work for your child, but have a limit on it to decide, you know, if that's really working or not.
And seek a doctor's approval.
And seek a doctor's approval. And I also recommend that all parents work not only with a physician, but you also work with a neurologist and you also work with a nutritionist, because one of the main characteristics of autism is ADD or ADHD. And there are obviously, like, there's facts out there about what foods promote hyperactivity and which one doesn't. So you probably wouldn't want high sugars. You know, there
That's
are
true.
things,
That's
you know
a
what I
common
mean?
sense factor. There.
Yeah, so those are all those things that with your child, if you work with a nutritionist, and yes, you can have a cleaner diet. You can figure out foods that are going to help your child function better in school. And even ADHD is one of the biggest problems a lot of the kids have early on. And, you know, it's always scary to have the topic about it, you know. So I always say, before you even get there, why don't you talk to your doctor about a diet, you know, holistic options.
Great
Try all
advice.
of those first.
Great advice. Instead of putting on the kid Ritalin too immediately.
And sometimes, you know, those meds, they're cleaner now, and there's so many that you can choose from. Sure, that may be the option for your child, but there are many other things you can try before that you basically are eliminating, you know. What I get really sad about is when a parent's just, because they read something and they're just all about the gluten and they're just stuck on the gluten, and then 5 years later they try the gluten, putting it back, and there's no difference.
No difference.
And all that time because to remove gluten puts a stress not only on the child but the sibling, but the whole
That's so
family.
Oh, right, the whole family has to get on
Right.
that diet, basically.
So that's why I say it's okay to try different things, but work with your physician, work with a nutritionist, and put a timestamp on it.
And get a neurologist, possibly
Get a neurologist, you know, have as much information so you can make the best possible decision for your child over time. And again, the gluten, it's worked for, like I said, maybe 2 or 3 out of 100 for me. You
Good
know?
Lord.
Wow.
But look at how much media press it's
I
getting.
know.
Yeah.
Right?
I think
That's
every day you're
scary.
hearing something on
That's
it.
scary.
It's almost a fad, huh?
I mean, I hate to say it, but it's like once a celebrity gets behind it and it gets a lot of media press,
Yeah.
it gets hot for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
And then all of us working in the field, we never discount anything because something might work for that child, you know what I mean?
Right.
But we don't feel like when there's not enough evidence and we're not seeing it in the field, we just feel sad because then these parents like hold on to
That's
it,
true.
you know?
Right.
So.
Well, you know, we're going to take a break, but that's amazing information that you just shared. Let's take a break and get some water, and we're going to get into the dance life of Arnel.
Yes.
Is your backyard looking janky? Does your front yard need a facelift? Trust, I hear ya. Mine did, and I got mine done at RB Paving and Landscape just a couple of months ago. This is a contractor you really can trust. Call them for a free quote. Ask for Ruben or Priscilla at 760-947-4191. RB Paving and Landscape specializes in all asphalt, concrete, and landscape needs. They serve the greater Los Angeles areas, San Bernardino County, and high desert areas. Call them today and tell them Queen ShanShan sent you. Hunty!
I have 2 passions. I love to put on my makeup, and I love to put on my wigs, but it doesn't pay me a dang dime. Arnel, you have 2 passions that pay pretty well. You're a doctor and you're also a dancer choreographer. Let's talk about getting into the dance. What is it that you loved about dancing when you were a kid?
Well, it's funny because when I was little, like I said, I grew up around hip hop. I admired it. I was a fan, but I was too shy. So I wasn't very
You were
outspoken.
shy?
Yeah, I was very shy. I didn't believe in myself. I had a lot of self-esteem issues. So I would just go watch, and I wouldn't even dance in public. I would just go to my room and I would just dance like my heart out in my room.
You would close the door and dance in your room.
Yeah. And then my older cousins were like these really popular, they were in a popping crew, and I just looked up to them, and they kind of, made fun of me, so I didn't feel cool enough to dance. And in high school was, It was funny. I was at a school dance in high school, and the coolest girls were these black girls. Like they were the best dancers.
Of course they were.
Yeah,
of course.
Of course they were, right? And now there's a shift where like I grew up around popping, locking, breaking. You know, those are the art forms that I loved. But in high school, now there's this new Jack swing,
of course,
party dancing,
I remember.
80s, 90s party dancing.
Yes.
Right? And so now it's about choreographed routines and all that stuff. And I found my groove, and I started like making routines up. And so I was part of a thing called Key Club, and they had a talent show. So I put a group together. And I was still shy though. I liked being a choreographer.
But you were the lead choreographer though.
I'm the lead choreographer, but I put everybody else in front, and I put myself in the back.
Right?
Yeah. But that experience, really kind of was a spark, because then I was like, oh, maybe I do have some leadership skills.
Okay.
I'm still more comfortable like vice president. Like everything I ran for in high school was vice president, prince of the court. I never
Not king
really,
of the court.
Yeah, that was usually my popular, best friend Jay.
That is so interesting.
So it's kind of interesting. And then when I was a freshman at UCI, I joined the Filipino club because I had been doing cultural dances like my entire life as well. So dance has already been a part of my life, even through the cultural dancing, because my parents are like beautiful Filipino cultural dancers.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, my mom and dad are both amazing, but my mom's like beautiful.
Your mom is
wow.
gorgeous.
Yeah,
Your whole
she's
family
so
is gorgeous.
graceful. Yeah.
Like, first of all, totally off the cuff, like off subject, like the pictures, and because Arnel's like Christmas, and you guys are together for Easter, and you guys are together for Thanksgiving, and you guys are together for New Year. You're very family oriented.
Yes,
You have how many brothers and sisters?
I'm the oldest of 4.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the 2 straight ones in the middle are married, and they have
Oh, really?
and the oldest and the youngest were both gay.
Yeah.
We're both also
Both into
occupational
gays.
therapists.
Both occupational therapists and both
wow.
gay. We're gonna get into that tea
That's
in a minute.
Yes.
Being a dancer, you started in 1992. You founded Kaba Modern.
Yeah.
What does Kaba mean? Kaba. What does that mean?
So I joined the Filipino club, and it's called Kaba Bayan. Kaba Bayan means fellow countrymen.
Okay.
And so this is the Filipino club, and they have an annual culture night where they show the traditional dances, and there's 4 main ones. Well, I went to the president and I said, hey, I really feel like Filipinos, even though we're not visible in media, we're a big part of the culture, of hip-hop dance, and party dancing. So I feel like we should represent that in the culture night. And so he made fun of me and said, hey, you should put up flyers and hold your own team and make your own brand new team. And I was naive, and
All right, bitch.
and I didn't believe in myself, and I thought someone believed in me. So I went all across campus, put
you're
flyers
done.
up. Yeah.
Done. I'll show
Yes.
you. I'll show you.
Amazing.
And I made it, and then it became this. I had no idea at that culture night. He was pissed because he was making fun of me, and it was a misunderstanding. But it was already created. It was too late. At 14,
He called
dancers,
you, and you said you answered to it, Arnel.
yes, I didn't know he was mocking me at the time, but I took it. I took it and ran with it, right? And then after that culture night, it's crazy because then the other Filipino clubs at the other UCs and Cal States were starting their own Samahang Modern. So we were the Kaba Modern is because we were like the modern dance suite and then the traditional dance suite. So we were the Kaba Bayan modern dance suite, and then all the traditionals were the other suites. So, and everyone's like, oh, your name's too long. Let's just call you Kaba Modern for short. So that's kind of became our name. But then all the other Filipino clubs, there was a Samahang Modern at UCLA, Pak Modern at Cal State Long Beach. And before you knew it, at every culture night, they had this hip hop modern section.
That's awesome.
So I had no idea that this thing that just built out of enthusiasm and a little misunderstanding. Yeah, ended up becoming a domino effect of becoming a whole scene.
But can I say something? Even though it was a little misunderstanding, you did say, I will call you up on that, because you were, in a way, he challenged you. And you answered the call.
Yes, yeah, and he was very supportive after that. Like the Filipino club, the first year they put us like in the middle because they didn't know what we were and they didn't want us to ruin the whole show. But by the end, they actually started putting us at the end so people would stay till the end of the show to watch us.
Now, did you do
That's
this
cool.
while you obviously you were getting your education?
Yeah.
Was that
yeah.
helping fund? Like, were you making money doing this as well?
No, this is a pure passion because. Again, like we didn't even have a studio, so most of these groups were practicing in parking structures outside or behind buildings and just playing it out of a ghetto blaster. On the concrete, no mirrors.
That's
nothing.
what street dancing is all about.
So, and to me that felt normal because again I grew up around hip hop culture and that's what we do. We roll out the linoleum and we just play the ghetto blaster and just get down. So
You
that
used
was
the word ghetto blaster. I've not heard that. Oh my God, we're so
Ghetto
old.
blaster.
The kids who are listening to this podcast
like,
are
what
going to
is
be like,
that?
let me
They're
Google
Googling it.
How do you spell that? Ghetto blaster? I don't know what the hell we're talking about right now. Yes, kids, it was called a ghetto blaster. It was a big, huge radio type of music machine that would
Yes.
pump out our tapes.
And you carried it on your shoulders.
Oh, by the way,
Yes.
tapes were these things that they're called tape cassettes.
Cassette tapes. They don't even know what a DVD is.
I don't know what a DVD is. Oh my God, we're so old.
I'm just joking.
So after that, after Kaba Modern, that was you're building it up.
Yeah.
Then you became this leader in the dance industry, correct?
Yeah, because at that time there were no real urban or hip hop dance competitions on the West Coast. We would compete.
There were, but not in the way that you wanted it to be, right?
Yeah, there weren't really any competitions at all.
What?
Yeah, there was
Really?
nothing. This is 1992. So where we would compete or where we would do it would be at like clubs and car shows.
Okay.
And we
Car
started
shows.
getting tired. Well, because the promoters knew that these groups had hot girls and they have a big following. So if they
Smart.
have Kaba Modern perform at their car show, then all their friends are going to come
That's
to this
true.
car show.
Smart.
Doing it right before even
Smart.
Instagram, any social
Okay.
media.
Yeah, this is
guy
all
on-
flyers.
This is
all
flyers. This is what we
This is
used.
like-
Yeah, paper
Right?
This is what
too.
it's like.
Yes.
There's no IG.
Yes.
There's no Facebook. There's no Facebook at this time.
And then later on, like my roommate created this competition called Vibe, and then it started again spreading like dominoes to where first there was none, then there was one that opened the doors, then now we have 20, and then now the teams were not only at the Filipino clubs, now there were several at every university, and then there were community ones. So this entire Southern California, Northern California community grew like wildfire in mid-90s all the way to mid-2000s. Like it exploded.
That's awesome.
And so what ended up happening, and this is how we get to America's Best Dance Crew, is these two creators, they had been running the National Aerobic Championships,
Oh, fun.
Howard and Karen Schwartz, and so they wanted to actually do one for hip hop,
Okay.
And so they approached me, said, "I see what you guys have been doing here on the West Coast. Would be willing to help, give us some advice?" I said, "Sure." They gathered all the leaders from the community at the time, and they created this thing called Hip Hop International. And now it's grown to 58 countries. It's like
Get
the
outta
Olympic.
here.
It's the Olympics of hip hop. So,
Wow.
58 countries around the world have their nationals. And then they send 3 representatives in each category to compete at the World Championships that happen every August.
And you were part of that, aren't you?
So yes, I mean, in the beginning I was just giving advice, and then after I found out what it was, then I entered Kaba Modern into this, and that Kaba Modern's name grew through Hip Hop International globally. And then that's kind of around the time that MySpace was starting, like beginnings of social media, still no YouTube, so it started getting like really huge. And then their dream was to take Hip Hop International and move it to be an ESPN show, televised.
That's awesome.
But eventually, it took a while, and so eventually in 2006, MTV found them and said, "Hey, we're ready. Let's do this show."
And that was the beginning of America's Best Dance Crew.
Yes. So
Oh, I love that show
yes.
so much.
It was so great. When Mario Lopez got signed on to be the host,
Right.
and they added Randy Jackson's name to
Right.
the project because it
Yeah.
really wasn't originally,
Yeah.
And because of American Idol, it gives it legitimacy,
Right?
Correct.
I didn't realize that he was added to it.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
Oh,
Randy
that's a
Jackson was.
secret.
He's like-
Yeah, Randy Jackson was
From Idol, I mean,
Yeah,
like,
from
he was
American
like
Idol.
Yeah,
up.
he was the man.
But he was with Journey all those years, and
I
nobody
know.
knew that.
I didn't even
Oh,
know
I
that.
didn't even know that.
Yeah,
either.
he
Yeah.
was the basis for Journey.
Isn't that
Oh,
crazy?
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they asked me to help give them consultations for forming the show, just some advice. And then when I found out what it was going to be, I quit and I called Jabbawockeez and I got my crew together. And
You knew the people from Jabbawockeez?
Jabbawockeez are my peers, so we're from the same
my
age
God,
and
what a
era
small-
growing up.
Small world.
And for us, again, this community was large now in California, but the rest of the country didn't really know about us because there's no social media really.
That's right.
And also for me, it just upset me that I saw no representation of Asian Americans, in hip hop at all. Like I didn't grow up seeing a single hip hop dancer on TV or on videos.
That was Filipino or the
was
Asian
Filipino.
American.
Even
So-
though I know we're
You're
so-
here, you're there. But the funny
Yeah.
thing about it, so every genre of some sort of passion has its ethnic community. hip hop, R&B, rap, let's be honest, started in the inner city. Started in New York, started in Los Angeles.
Yep.
You had different types of rap that was predicated in New York, Chicago. Obviously the South has their, the trap music and everything that, which is interesting today. But I'm going to be honest, Arnel. I was raised in Rancho Cucamonga.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
who were the hip hop artists in my area? White kids.
Yeah.
There was not a lot of black kids in Rancho Cucamonga.
Yeah.
So here I am thinking that it was more I'm a kid, and I'm raised on Run DMC and Will Smith and Prince, Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson, everything. So I had a huge more an R&B background than more of a hip hop background.
Yeah.
But because I lived in such an interesting neighborhood, it was white and blacks, but I didn't see a lot of Asian kids.
Yeah, there was no
dancing.
representation. That's why. So my goal was like that. One of us. That's why I called Jabbawockeez. One of us needs to get on the show and just, be good role models to show all the kids around the world that the face of hip hop includes Asian Americans. It
and they didn't
includes
know.
us.
And so anyone who doesn't know who Jabbawockeez is, Jabbawockeez, and it's kind of interesting that you don't know them. Jabbawockeez was the first dance crew that won the big award on the first year of America's Dance Crew on MTV. They were huge. So huge down to this day they actually have their own show in Las Vegas.
Yes.
So they're very famous. They actually opened for Bruno Mars. They've opened for lots of famous artists to this day. And they have their own dedicated show in Vegas. So you can go and see them actually right now. So you're friends and you worked with them. And how did Kinjaz, the famous Kinjaz, how did they formulate?
So in Kaba Modern, and many groups in the Southern California scene, a lot of the leaders were friends. Even though we competed against each other, we were friends and peers, and we admire each other's work. So after everyone's kind of getting to an age where they didn't want to compete anymore, they were like, "What's next?" And a lot of us were part of Culture Shock LA. The other
you auditioned for them.
I auditioned for them, and that's like a nonprofit dance organization that I'm really passionate about. But there was like a need for like this brotherhood that we wanted to create. So Mike Song and Anthony Lee.
Hi, Mike. Hi, Anthony.
Mike Song was a director from Kaba Modern, and Anthony was a director from a rival team, CADC, both from UC Irvine. They competed against each other, and when they're done competing, they're like, we're best friends. Let's make a crew together.
Okay.
So, but Kinjaz is different than other groups because you don't audition for it. You're asked to be in it. It's handpicked.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Exclusive.
So it's
very
it's really much Kinjaz. The root is kin. So it's the kinship that you have.
Got it.
And we're just geeks, so we like anime and like ninja stuff, whatever. It's kind of a unique, brotherhood because we're all leaders from different things, but we're all every person on our squad are like people that we really respect on a deeper level and that we show up for and we represent each other, So that's the magic of Kinjaz. It's not like a fabricated dance company. It's something that's been literally like handpicked and put together very thoughtfully.
And Kinjaz also competed on America's Dance Crew as well.
Yeah, they had an eighth season where they had the challenge of the champions, and they brought back all the champions and they had one wild card, and we were the wild card because we're known for doing our concept videos. So if you type in Kinjaz on YouTube, like a zillion videos pop up,
and they're amazing, amazing performances.
We put a lot of work with it into it.
I mean, these dance crew. It's not just you and I doing like back in the day when I was in 10th grade. We did a dance skit from Grease.
Yes.
The lightning song that John Travolta sings. Grease Lightning, yes. Yeah. And I choreographed that, of course. I was a choreographer too. Hey, you're not the only choreographer in this room right now, okay? I have some stint too. I have some clout. But these are performances with props and mirrors and you had a mat, like some fireworks that were on, some light presentation. And it was just fantastic.
Thank you so
and
much.
You would go finish this, and I would like just stare at my TV and my computer. I'm like, that was incredible.
Yeah, it's like everything is like we have a media team called Vibrancy, and Yeah, the magic, the chemistry between Vibrancy and Kinjaz, the movement and the media together, also like tied together with a positive mentality, creates magic on screen. So
It does.
all of these videos, we're in awe of each other because like I make one, Anthony makes one, Mike makes one. Like all the different brothers we've made different ones, and we use each other in our videos. It's an inspiring movement to see, and some of them are more message driven, some of them are more
They
fun,
are. And some sort of just silly.
Yeah, some are silly, just entertaining, So it's been a blessing, and I think people caught on to it because maybe they're relating to the brotherhood that we have, or the relatability possibly. Even though we wear Kinjaz masks, sometimes we wear Kinjaz masks and sometimes we don't.
Right.
Just
cool. but Jabbawockeez always wear their masks. So.
Yes, that's part of their allure.
Yes, because don't know.
We knew right away.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
like Kiss, right?
Yeah, right.
When they had makeup.
Yeah, that's their magic. We really wanted ours to be a specific thing, so we like the. We like the effect of the mask, but we really are about connection. Mm-hmm. So that's why we like to take off our mask sometimes. And also, depending on the song or the artistry, we don't feel like the mask fits that,
How many members are in the Kinjaz group right now?
There's 38 total.
38 people.
Yeah, and some of us are full-timers, like myself, work a full-time job, and some of them are just full-time dancers as they do for a living, traveling the world, teaching,
Good
performing.
for them. They're traveling the world, really?
Yeah, we're very blessed right now.
That's wonderful. You even have your own merch.
Yeah, we have our own clothing line, Kinaesthetic, because after the show, a lot of us have experienced, a lot of the members of Kinjaz have been on America's Best Dance Crew with other teams.
Okay.
So we've learned that, television is television, you have no control over certain things. So in your moment, you have to use it very wisely. So when we were on the show, one episode, we would have our jacket that we're going to release, and then we release it the day that the episode airs. You know what I mean? So
Smart.
We're like, if you can't make the business come to you, you have to make the business yourself.
I was noticing that when you walked in and when you were on the interview earlier on Facebook that you had this great jacket on. I noticed it immediately. Is that part of the
Yes,
collection?
our bomber jacket is the thing that sells out all the time, just like this,
Okay.
And actually, it's our clothing line that funded like a lot of our other projects. Like we have our own dance camp, our own dance competition. We have 3 studios. We have one here, one in Chengdu, one in Shanghai, and we're opening up one in Beijing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you been to those studios?
Not yet.
Oh, I want to go.
I will though.
I want to definitely go back. I want to go back to Hong Kong because my trip to Hong Kong was
Yeah.
amazing. But I definitely would go to Shanghai. That'd be amazing. I will definitely put that link into the liner notes too, so people can know where to get the
What's the
merchandise.
website?
Yeah, what is it?
Yeah, well, if you go to kinjaz.com, you can see everything that we have, but within that, it'll be Kinaesthetic is the store.
And
Okay.
is that
And
a panther that's on the coat, or
It's a tiger.
Tiger,
So one
okay.
of the white tiger is kind of one of our symbolism.
Okay.
So,
I dig it.
So speaking of the family community dance community. Oh, before I get into that, you were also recently, a couple years ago, was on the Jennifer Lopez show.
Yeah.
World of Dance.
Yes.
And you and
Yeah.
Kinjaz performed and competed.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
And
how was J-Lo? How was meeting J-Lo?
J-Lo's a professional. I mean, she has her stuff together. She works so hard. She has a really amazing work ethic. But we're happy we're grateful for the experience. We're so happy about the outcome. We made it to.
Hey, are we gonna get some tea?
We made it to the finals. We made it to the finals of our category, and then our good friends Keone and Mari, who were in the duet category, we really felt they should have been the winners of that season.
Wow.
Yeah, actually, when you hear the audience response live, people were very, very disappointed when we got knocked off, but even more so when Keone and Mari got knocked off. So, but we also know it's television. I mean, everyone knows, so we are super grateful for the opportunity. And again, every episode we did was very strategic. One of them was to promote our studio. One of them was to promote our clothing line. I mean, everything we did creatively was like, of course, the artistry, we wanted to make it, like
you
something.
were marketing yourself.
But we were using it smartly to like further our objectives beyond the show.
Absolutely.
And
Good
that's
for
what I
you.
always advise people to do when they have television opportunities is like you need to think beyond a moment and have a wider vision of where you're going with it beyond that moment, because then you can use that moment to your favor.
We're gonna
Strategic.
we're gonna take a break because that's some good, interesting information. But we're also gonna get into a third segment of why you are here on this podcast.
Okay.
Okay, more after the break.
Queen ShanShan, I hear you have a date tonight.
Why, yes, I do. And we're actually looking for a place to eat for dinner tonight. Any suggestions?
Yes, I know the perfect place. Ma's Italian Kitchen.
Great idea. They have an amazing seared salmon plate, grilled New York steak, and also baked chicken parmigiana.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You know what? I gotta tell them Queen ShanShan sent me. Hunty! You mentioned a few moments ago that you are gay.
Yes.
And this is Pride Month, so we're going to talk about some very encouraging aspects of being a part of the LGBT community. But I do have an honest question for you. You dance in a community, the hip-hop R&B community. And unfortunately, in that community is not so welcomed. The LGBT community has had some pushback because of the machismo effect or the machismo stature, the machismo face of R&B or hip-hop. You are an amazing dancer. And I want to talk about when you came out, has it been a challenge to be this type of dancer in the genre? And what are what were the challenges and what are the rainbows of it all too?
Yeah, I mean, that's what's really amazing about hip-hop dance and everything associated with hip-hop, or sometimes some of us are calling it now urban dance, you know, because it's beyond hip-hop music as well. You know, like you said, we love R&B, we love house music, you know, there's a lot of genres. But,
electronica.
Yeah, there's so many, and like even a lot of the art from Kinjaz that we perform to a soundtrack, you know, that has no beats at all.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, okay.
So, in the earlier days, that's why certain art forms like Vogue, and on the West Coast we had whacking, you know, those were created for LGBTQ representation and advocacy and promoting, you know, empowerment. You know, those ones had to exist at those times because it was a different time. You know, Vogue was created in the late 60s, early 70s, and then whacking was in the 70s, 80s. You know?
I did not know this.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Voguing was actually created in the 60s and the 70s?
Yeah, which is
That's so crazy.
I think
didn't
what
know
people
that.
don't know is that Vogue was actually created well before hip hop.
Oh.
But it was underground, you know, and it was created by the LGBTQ community because you had these people coming out, and at that time it was very, very, very scary to come out.
Of
so
course.
we had all these orphans being kicked out of their house and just hanging out at the pier, at the parks. And so they had to create an art form to save their community. And so literally they had this art form. One person would pick, you know, oh, you have potential. I am now your mother. You're going to live in my house.
Which is,
You know what I mean?
Pose.
That's Pose, right?
That's Pose
Paris
right there.
is Burning is another
Paris
great
is Burning, yep.
documentary. And that culture, that art form was basically an answer for the community to say, hey, you are powerful, you are different, and you belong. But it was very much underground because, yes, it wasn't safe. I mean, a lot of these Voguers were getting, you know, especially the trans community, they were getting discrimination, not only from the straight community, but even from the gay community.
Of course they
know?
were, yeah.
So these art forms like voguing, later on the West Coast, because New York had Vogue, and unless you have like originators in your city, you can't really have the art form so pure. So New York had Vogue, but West Coast had nothing. So in the disco clubs, they created whacking, connected to disco music. And again, Vogue is like ball culture, so it's the runway, right? It's up and down.
Yes.
Whacking was created in the disco, so it's very circular. It's like ciphers, and it's all over the club. So they are from the same spirit of, you know, being shut down, being, you know, and empowerment, lifting the.
But they included themselves, their own community.
Yeah, but they're from different expressions, same root. And also, whacking was created during the AIDS epidemic, so a lot of it was like, I'm going to kill the beat. I don't know how long I have, but I'm going to slice the beat with my moves, you know?
Oh, word.
Yeah. So
Wow.
and whacking is like, it's like from the Batman show, like pow, whack, whoop, you know. So
Oh,
the whack
that's where
is
it
like
comes
I'm
from.
gonna whack, you know, I'm gonna use my thing, you know. But it's influenced by disco, so it has this, you know. And so, but they both have that spirit of like, I'm dancing for my life. You know, I have to have my own power because you know, you can't take my power away. This is who I am. You know, I'm whatever. And so, but we're at a different place now with dance, which is amazing.
That is an amazing story.
Yeah, it's amazing that these art forms are there, but so are so many other art forms.
Sure
you know?
are.
So, you know, during struggle, that's what, you know, the reason why, because of the recession, that's why hip hop was created, because all these kids had to was gangs. So they created the 4 elements of hip hop so you could join, you know, a breaking crew if you like dance, an MCing crew if you like to use your voice, a graffiti crew if you like to do visual art, you know, a turntablism crew if you like, or a DJing crew if you like to do music. So they created the crew so you can join a crew instead of a gang. But you're right, it had to do a lot of the aggression and anger,
Aggression, like
and it did have a masculine edge to it, you know, even though there were B girls too. But that's why all of these art forms kind of were popping up. Even house in New York, they're like, I don't like all these that there's rules. We need to be more free and connected to music. So they find each other at lofts and, you know, do house music and do house dance. So all these communities were creating art forms that were an answer to the need of that community. And you're right, before it was segregated. But now we're at a point where people, we're putting these now that these teams exist where you do multiple art forms and these dance competitions exist and these battles and so many things, it's more diverse now. It's not really, I feel like, I think I might have mentioned this to you before. I feel like music and dance is like the model for humanity. You know, it's not anymore about gender separations, and it's kind of like it's whatever connects to you, and there's something for everyone, you know. So now it's like, we're just focusing, like our community is focusing on education and helping people understand the art form so they can pick the ones that fit who they are.
How when you came out, what was the age that you came out?
I came out at 32.
At 32 years old.
Yeah.
And why did you come out so late? Well, I shouldn't say that. Why was that time for you to come out? Because obviously you and I know of many individuals who came out in their teens and in their 20s. Why 32?
Just me personally, I just remember the 80s and 90s just being completely afraid of it. You know what I mean?
Afraid of what?
Afraid of even thinking about being gay. It's funny, it's like right now when I look back on it, I kind of remember when I was a little kid, I might have looked at, you know, another boy's arm and just kind of admired, you know, but I would always like stop myself because it's scary, you know.
You were scared.
I was scared to come out. Also, I brought up in a very Catholic family,
Yes.
you know, and there's all these people saying that, you know, I even remember when the AIDS epidemic coming out, just hearing conversation of people saying, "Oh, that's the disease created to wipe out all the gays."
All right, I remember that too.
I remember
Awful.
even on Oprah, people clapping when people would say that, you know, and when you get that imaging and that messaging, of course you're going to be afraid to come out. And I'm also a mama's boy and a people pleaser, so I didn't want to do anything to disrupt the flow.
Of the family.
You know, I'm the oldest of 4, so I didn't want to be a disappointment, you know. And I didn't even know I just blocked it. It was just never an option. So it wasn't, I didn't even let myself go there until college. And then college was like, I have these feelings, you know. And I actually had a girlfriend in college, my junior year. And we were together for like a few months, and then we broke up over the summer. And then at that time, I was in Kaba Modern now. And in Kaba Modern, there was only one out gay guy, even though
in a dance school.
Even though you know there's about 100 of them.
there were 4. There were actually 4 of us on the.
Right.
We were 4 of us on the team.
Right.
But only one was out.
But only one was out. This my good friend Russell Ramirez. Who
I know
you also
Russell,
know.
yeah. Hi,
Russell's an
Russell.
inspiration. You know, I love Russell. What's up, Russ? Yeah, we're at a party, and he said, "You're so cute. Why? I wish you played for my team." And I said, "I don't know that I don't." I'm not sure. And then we made out. You know,
You made out at the party?
at the party in one.
He was your first kiss.
He was my first kiss.
Your first male kiss.
He
Yeah, it's my
recruited
first
you.
male kiss. He did. But you know what's crazy? It's like that fear, that expectation you place on yourself is so powerful. for that summer I was broken up with my girlfriend, and I was experimenting with Russ, just like asking a lot of questions and hanging out with him a lot, and he was very supportive. But I was still convinced. I'm like, nope, I'm probably bisexual then.
You thought you were experimenting, or you thought you were bisexual?
I thought I was bisexual. I was like,
Bi-curious?
Yeah, I was like, I just said bisexual because I think I just felt that safety net.
Okay.
And I told my ex-girlfriend at that time, I was like, hey, I think I'm bisexual. And she said, I love you anyways. And I think that acceptance was so powerful for me that I stayed in there for 8 years.
You stayed in where in 8 years?
In that relationship, I went back to get.
Wait a minute, with the same girl for 8 years? You were in a relationship with the same girl that you said that you like men, and she was fine with that?
Yeah, I said I was bisexual.
You'd be surprised what girls would do to keep love in their life. This,
Well,
this is my story too.
This is your story too, so you can totally relate. Because you were dating girls and you liked boys as well. Did you think that you were bisexual, Edward?
There was an exit sign that said, bisexuals exit here. So I exited there on the way to Gay Town and just stopped off. And then I got back on the freeway to Gay Town. And so it was a nice little stopover.
Were you there for 8 years as well?
No, I wasn't there that long. I mean, I was just kind of like, I had a girlfriend. This is when I lived in New York, and I told her that I wanted to like play with guys too, and she's like, okay, that's fine, let's figure it out. And then I moved back to Texas, and I met another girl that said the same thing.
So she was like, they were flexible.
Yeah, I'm like,
and I never, and it was interesting because when I told her, I said, I won't cheat on you, but that's just a part of who I am. And I think the fact that she accepted me meant so much to me that I just stayed loyal to it. I didn't cheat on her.
So even though you were looking at boys on the side, were you checking boys out and everything?
My rationale at the time was like, I look at, like, straight guys look at straight girls all the time. You know what I mean? You're going to look anyway.
You're going to look, period.
Yeah, so it's just, what matters is what you do or you don't. But I was, my girlfriend at the time, she knew. And so she's the one who broke up with me, and compassionately, she said, I think you're still on your journey.
She let you go.
Letting know who you are.
Yes.
I was also her first boyfriend. So, that also makes sense.
She was so in love with you.
And we're close friends today. Her name is Melissa. We're still close friends
Hi,
to
Melissa.
this day. She's a beautiful person. But we were a big part of those early developmental years. I was her first boyfriend. She was, my first long-term girlfriend.
Oh my gosh.
But I, eventually I figured out I was gay. I wasn't even saying I was gay even after I broke up with her. I was still stuck on the bisexual train for a while.
You were still trying to get.
Yeah, I was still finding my way.
You're gonna get to Gay Town eventually, but you were like.
Then I hit that intersection. I was like,
Put the brake sound in that.
time to turn right.
All these detours.
Yeah, so I came out at 32, and all the fear. It was funny because my brother and I came out to my parents together.
Together? How old is your brother now?
My brother is 38.
Oh my God! So he was 22.
Yeah, the crazy thing is he
was 24.
Yeah,
24.
he was in his 20s, and he actually came out to all his friends, and then my parents were like the last people he was gonna come out to. I'm the opposite. I mean, Russ knew, and maybe a handful of people know, but I didn't want to come out to people until my parents knew, because at that time too, my reputation as a dancer or as a leader in the community was pretty wide. So if someone leaked it out, it could easily get to my parents.
You don't think people knew though, Arnel?
Well, what's so interesting is like, now my friends know it's so obvious, but I think at the time people actually didn't know, which is interesting. My close friends knew, but everyone else I told were surprised at the time.
No one was giving you some side eye?
I think I wasn't also free, so I probably expressed myself a different way.
Right.
I'm pretty sure unconsciously my voice was different. You were
kind of locked down.
Yeah, I was pretty like on a set path,
Yeah.
But all my fears, out of all the people I came out to, only one person was really unsupportive. And so
you don't need to say a name.
It was one of my close friends.
Right.
Oh.
And he was more upset. He was upset that I came out. And he was like he's like, everything's gonna change. You're ruining our friendship. And I felt terrible. But everyone else, I mean, I was scared of like, a lot of my guy friends being resistant or things changing, but everyone's been so supportive and so loving, and I learned a lot about humanity.
Yeah.
I know that's not the case for a lot of people though,
No.
and that I am very lucky. And that's probably why I'm so happy, all the time, is because I think for most of my adult life, I've been, restricted, and now I'm free.
Right.
Good for you.
So I think, I'm different now.
And now you are in a loving relationship.
Yeah. And that's been a journey too, because when you come out later too, you have to start that journey at a later age,
Yes.
So.
Well, I've
you
known
know
you
what
for
I mean?
6 years, and I know you were
Yeah.
off and on in different relationships when I met you.
Yeah, I think I met you through Victor.
I met you through Victor. Yeah, Victor. And again, the chemistry that you and I had immediately, we were matched, and I loved you from the very beginning. And the guys who all knew you have true respect for you as well. I wanted to ask you a question. Since this is Pride Month, what does Pride mean to you?
Yeah, Pride means just like embracing your extraordinary place in this world. Like everyone's an extraordinary combination of many different parts. And I think Pride is that journey towards just like embracing everything you are, and continually growing to the best version of yourself, So I love Pride. For me, like, when I wasn't out, I would be scared to go to WeHo because I'd be seen by a dancer, and to live that way.
I'd be like, "What you doing here then?"
So many, right?
You're seeing me. I'm like, "What you doing here?"
Because
we can both judge,
right? But they were out and I wasn't, And so I remember going for many years to an obscure club where I wouldn't be seen, just to have a gay experience, and how limiting I was to myself. Like I was living in fear. And so that's why I really love Pride. Like, I love all the Pride parades and things like that, because I'm just really I just appreciate being able to live who I am, and I love connecting
Live your
and
truth.
celebrating other people doing the same.
So tell us about Dustin. How did you meet Dustin?
So the choreographer of Rhythm Nation, Anthony Thomas, is one of my really good friends, and he was doing a project called Rise of the Nation, and which is like celebrating the 30th anniversary of Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation
Love
tour.
her. We all love her.
And yes, love Janet Jackson. And so Dustin was actually one of the dancers, and I was one of the creative directors on the project. And when it wrapped, he said, "Oh, want to hang out sometime?" But I didn't know if it was like we're hanging out like as buddy. I didn't even know he was gay.
You didn't know Dustin was gay?
No.
Oh my goodness.
But I also have the worst gaydar ever.
I'm the same way. That's what happens when you stay in the
gaydar
closet most of your
ever.
life.
Our tools aren't sharpened.
We're like, okay, yeah, I think
like
they are.
Victor, like, oh yes, honey, yes, he knows.
And then you just to get to the point where you assume everyone is until they prove you wrong. But,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you just thought Dustin was asking you for like a hang out for lunch or dinner, just like from buddies. But
Yeah.
You didn't feel that he was flirting with you.
No, I'm so oblivious.
Oh
I'm so
my God.
oblivious. He drove. I should have known, because he drove all the way down from North Hollywood to Long Beach to meet up with me.
And if you guys
I suggested
that's
beers.
some traffic. That's some serious traffic.
Yeah, serious traffic.
That's some serious dedication for dinner or lunch.
It was
in Los
actually,
Angeles.
I thought he was straight, so I was like, let's go grab beers at the pub, So we went to a brewery,
So bro-ish.
and he doesn't, so bro-ish, and he doesn't even drink, he hates beer. I didn't know that, but he came down, and then, we just had like natural, organic, chemistry. It was just so easy to talk to him, and on the set, I just was gravitated towards energy, which is why like I did want to hang out with him anyways. I had planned on this person, I'm going to connect with them after this whole project's over, and he was one of them, because he just brought good energy to the set, and he's just always a hard worker, and I just like really have that admiration.
He's very cute
for people.
too.
He's also hot.
Yeah. Very
I
good
think
looking.
so, at least.
He's very good looking.
But he's such a good soul, and I think I just spent so much of my life taking care of people.
You do.
And, I did go through a phase, as we all do, attracting it, where I'm just taking care of people.
You sure did. We had that conversation.
A lot of
honey.
people in transitions, and I'm that person to support them through a transition,
Just to give you a history, Edward, me and Arnel have had lunches upon lunches upon lunches upon conversations. Some deep stuff. Like I was definitely the Oprah. He was my Oprah. And love and life and friendships and just all kinds of stuff. So, but it's so interesting, Arnel. Why I have this podcast is you and I, we do have our time together and everything, but you and I see each other with a group of people too. So it's always an event. It's always at a party. It's always at, something happening. I'm so grateful that you and I are sitting across from each other because I'm getting to know more than ever in the last 45 minutes than literally in the last, I shouldn't say that in the last 6 years, but this is a different intimate session that we're having.
Yeah.
And we're spilling each other's tea, and I'm so grateful that you're here. Are you in love?
Yeah, I am. I'm in love. And it's like, and it's interesting because he's from Germany and I'm here, and so we have things that we bring to the relationship that are different, and I think the best relationships are the ones that you grow together, you know, because that's like that's for life.
Yeah,
If you're with someone that you can picture growing through life together with, that's better. That's more than just, you know, affection and other things. And he is affectionate, he's thoughtful, and he's loving, and, you know, he's hot, and whatever. You know, we have good physical chemistry.
Yeah, you sure do.
But his soul is so good, and I feel like I have a lot to learn from him. I have a lot of, like, my soul has to offer him, and so it's been surprisingly amazing and quicker than I thought, you know.
Well,
so,
I wish you both the best, definitely. And I finally got to meet him this weekend,
Yes.
even though it was a brief second at Pride, but
Yeah.
he's so sweet, and you guys look so cute together. So congratulations.
Yeah, and now I'm rounding out my family. Like, everyone was couples for the long time, so I'm always like the 9th person. You know, you know what I mean?
I still know what that means.
In those cute family pictures, I'm holding the dog. I'm holding my brother's dog.
Right, and now you got a man, you can hold his hand and hug him in pictures, and now it's an even number.
It's an even number, and it's all good.
That's good. So we're gonna wrap this up before we do, but I want to know what's on the horizon for you. What's the you wanted to make sure you had some components that you wanted to express for the podcast tonight. What's on the horizon for you today?
Well,
or in the future?
I'm really, like I said, like I feel like everyone, when it comes to careers, you know, it's about taking all the brilliant parts of yourself and, you know, putting it together, and that's your career. And then whether that's one career or 2 careers, you know, or 3, you know. You know, you gotta find that right combination, because I think those are the healthiest and happiest people out there. So I finally, even though I've been doing, you know, the dance stuff, so I work for a school district, so I do a lot of my dance stuff in the summer, and then I work my full-time, you know, occupational therapist job in, you know, through the school year. I found a way to kind of put it together.
Right.
And so now I've launched a dance therapy program through that organization, Culture Shock LA, that I'm a part of, where I combine my occupational therapy techniques with hip hop dance to work with kids with varying disabilities, a lot of them with autism. Awesome. It's been grant funded now for 3 years, and this summer is actually the first year I've converted it to a dance camp. Okay. So I'm launching that in 3 weeks.
Exciting!
I'm hoping that will grow, because I feel like, you know, kids with autism and disabilities, just like everyone else, deserve the opportunity to express themselves and, you know, to have these experiences. And a lot of them are shunned away from dance studios because they're different, you know.
Yeah.
What a great cause.
What a great cause. How are people get to know more information about this?
Well, the best thing is to just follow me on Instagram, because that's where I put all my announcements and stuff. It's just Arnel Calvario. But
at Arnel Calvario on Instagram. Okay.
And then all my organizations and stuff are on there. But this program will be done through Culture Shock Los Angeles. And then Kinjaz, we're doing a lot of campaigns as well. So we've been doing really well with our clothing line. And I've worked with the owners to do outreach campaigns with our clothing line. So we're going to release special edition shirts every couple of months that relate to a cause meaningful to the brothers. So the first one is going to be Pride.
Okay.
LGBTQ Pride. So I'll be releasing a shirt actually this week.
Okay.
Yeah, when this pod airs, it's going to be...
Yeah, because it airs on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be the same day or the day before.
Oh, you better...
Sold out already.
Sold out. So it's already sold out. So you're going to be promoting the podcast, they broadcast, and the shirts and everything. We're going to get the most hits on this, because people are going to learn where to get those shirts on our website as well.
Yes, and we're not partnered with Trevor Project. They don't know the money's going to them, but...
are we spilling some secret tea right now?
Yeah, some secret tea.
The Trevor Project doesn't know this money's going to them?
No, we're not going to use them to promote the shirts, but we'll be donating 100% of the proceeds to them.
Amazing.
And that's the way it's going to be. You heard it here, and this is the only place I'll probably say it.
Oh my God!
Until after our objective is to sell out the shirts and then donate. So the primary thing is the cause. and then the charity, we promote them afterwards.
Real quick, a lot of people who
Sounds
may not
great.
know what the Trevor Project is, explain in 30 seconds what the Trevor Project is.
It's the leading national organization that provides preventative services for suicide and also for teens, LGBTQ teens,
Yes.
and they do what they call life affirming programs, so promoting people to believe in life and pick good choices.
So all the proceeds that this shirt will create goes to the Trevor
100%,
Project.
yeah. 100%.
Congratulations,
That's a
Arnel.
great-
Congratulations, Kinjaz. That's
Thank
amazing.
you. And that's the cool thing too. I'm the only gay man on Kinjaz.
Out of the 38
out of
people?
38, and they're all behind.
Are you
this
sure about
project.
that?
They might not be out yet.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Are you-
But then again, don't trust my gaydar. Hey, if one of you are listening, I'm here for you, bro. I'm just kidding. I don't think so, though.
You don't think so? I'm all 38.
I'm pretty sure it's
That's
not.
some serious odds.
But a lot of in our community, yes, there's a lot. But
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting? Even in the dance community, gays are not the majority.
I always thought that was.
Yeah, it's not. We're not.
Are you sure about that?
It's so big now. No, literally in every
1 in
dance,
10.
in
1
every.
in 10.
I would say it's something like that. Like
Really?
yeah, in every dance company I'm in, there's maybe 1 or 2 gay guys or a lesbian maybe or bisexual, but there's not. It's never the majority ever, unless you create like a voguing team or a
Right, then it's a
blacking
different-
team. Then that's the
Then
ratio
that's
is a little bit
skewed.
different.
Totally skewed.
But the regular urban dance or hip hop teams are
Okay.
predominantly straight,
Yeah,
which is
learn something
interesting.
new. I always
is
thought
interesting.
I really always thought the gay community outweighed the straight community in the dance industry. It's like also, but as well when the actors too.
So racist.
Racist.
Yeah,
Or
you're
what's that-
sexist.
Racist.
Sexist.
You're so genderist.
You're so genderist.
I'm a generalist. That's it. It's a generalist. So I'm sorry, the dance community, but that's me and my. But you have another third thing that you want to focus on.
Yeah, family. One thing I advise a lot of people who are busy is actually we're so good at scheduling appointments and scheduling tasks of things to do, but actually put the things that bring you joy into your calendar. So as busy as I am, I'm really trying to really make sure that I'm balanced with time for my family. My parents are getting older and I see the mortality, in them, and I just value time with my parents and my brothers and sisters, and also from working at a hospital, I know time is promised to no one.
Right.
So I always tell people, we're busy as hell, so on your calendar, right in there, I think that if I, for me, I literally put, we'll get ice cream on Friday, and I highlight it. And then I can knock out 100 emails. I can see 20 patients because I visually on my schedule, I've scheduled myself there. I see something there
Correct.
for myself. So I feel like people who are busy, schedule yourself in your calendar, schedule your spouse in your calendar, and make it visible and highlight it so that no matter how busy you are, you're working on that balance and you have a goal to work for.
That's a good tip. Thank you.
Yeah.
Arnel, thank you so much for being here.
I love you.
I love you
so
too.
good
Thank you
meeting
so
you
much.
too.
It's I've actually learned something on this show. Not that I don't on the other ones, but I feel like this is a fulfilling
Yeah.
episode.
Aw.
I
in a lot of
really
ways.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, much love.
Tomorrow may be a holiday. You know why? Madonna's album is coming out
Yes.
June 14th. So this podcast will air Tuesday, which is a couple of days after June 14th. But Madonna's album is out on June 14th, Madam X. And are we here for it?
We're here for it. It's Good Friday tomorrow.
It is Good Friday.
It's our Good Friday.
It's going to be our holiday. It's a national holiday for us.
It's a national
We've
holiday.
been talking about this damn album for the last 7 months.
I'm gonna wear my borderline outfit to work tomorrow. When I walk in.
Everyone's gonna have a different
Right.
Madonna persona, right?
Madonna.com.
It's Madonna's Day, and Madame X will be out tomorrow. And like I said, I'm here for it. We've been here for it for the last 7-8 months. Me and Edward have been talking about it. Edward, are you beyond doing cartwheels right
I'm
now?
thrilled. I'm just waiting. I've been checking the internet all day to see if Rolling Stones has dropped their review of it yet, and they had not as of Showtime tonight. They had not, but I've read a lot of these smaller reviews, and Variety actually is a massive review.
Yeah.
Loved it, and so this is Madam X is her 14th album.
Yep.
Wow.
Her 14th studio album.
14th studio album, and they're calling it her weirdest body of work yet, almost like a Bohemian Rhapsody type display of music, because it's so kind of all over the place, but in a beautiful way. Were you going to play something from it?
Yes, I do. So this is on YouTube, and I actually really enjoy this song because I just think it's just beautiful, and she says some really encouraging words. So here we go.
It's a beautiful life, but I'm not concerned. It's a beautiful dream, but a dream is earned. I can dress like a boy, I can dress like a girl. Keep your beautiful words, 'cause I'm not concerned.
Oh my god.
I love it.
And she's quoting Joan of Arc. She's reading Joan of Arc.
Is that her talk? That's her singing.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, but she's an artist.
Oh, yeah,
she's an artist.
She's earned her artist
Yeah.
keeping. She is one of the best artists of all times. But anyway, tomorrow the album comes out. We're excited about it.
Yes, and you're going to see Madam X
Yes.
later on this month at World Pride in New York City.
At the Pier Dance, yeah. I'll be there with Fab and Eric.
I know. Hi,
Yeah,
Fabrice. Hi,
I know
Eric.
them.
Oh, I know them too.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're going to have such a great time.
Yes, I'm so excited to celebrate, Pride, and of course with her.
Yes.
And she's so excited to be there because that's her hometown. So.
Well, that's your Madonna Minute. So part of the podcast is, again, we talk about beauty. And I haven't spoken about beauty in a long time because we were talking about travel and culture. And this month is Pride Month. So I want to talk about, we all have different pride issues. Do you know who Jaclyn Hill is, Arnel?
No. I'm
Do you
not
know
familiar.
who Jaclyn Hill is?
Only because you talked about it on a very early show.
Okay, so Jaclyn Hill, for those of you who do not know who she is, she's a really well-known YouTuber and beauty guru who started vlogging about makeup about 9 years ago. She's 20 years old and lives in Florida. She has now roughly 2 million followers on Twitter, nearly 6 million followers on YouTube, and about 6.2 million followers on Instagram. This woman is very popular. She became very popular on YouTube for her makeup tutorials and gathered millions of followers on various social media platforms. She grew so much popularity that she had PR sent to her free makeup from huge makeup brands because they wanted her influence. That she was the true definition of an influencer. She is a true definition of what we call influencers. Yeah. Okay. She was making big money. Celebrities were going on her channel, like Kim Kardashian, James Charles, Jeffree Star, and many others, just to be on her channel because she was so popular. She, in fact, collabed with Becca, which was a beauty company that was bought up by Estee Lauder for $200 million. She partnered with Morphe and had her own collections. All her collabs were extremely successful, sold out every time they launched online. And this is, again, all these makeup products online. At that time you couldn't find them on stores. And Jaclyn Hill helped bring these products to light. She had her own brushes, her own eyeshadow palettes, highlighters, and other successful merchandise. For the past 5 years, she has been promising her followers, her subscribers, that she would launch her own makeup line. And to the chagrin of her followers, she kept collabing with Morphe. So they weren't really satisfied with that. They really wanted her to have her own company. Finally, this year, she tweeted out saying she was going to finally start her new makeup line, and everybody was ecstatic. When it happened, it got everybody excited. It launched over 2 weeks ago. Her first launch was Jaclyn Hill lipsticks. It quickly drew attention online and in the beauty community, and everybody was all about it. It sold out in a day. Her lipstick lines sold out in a day, but quickly came to criticism because when you launch these beauty products, a lot of them send out PR packages to the influencers, to people, booty guru, the booty, they call it booty gurus, the beauty gurus, because all the beauty gurus go online and they give you their opinion of the product. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, so there was some criticism there. When the people ordered their lipsticks online, they sell them in a day, so this is when it gets really dicey. When customers received their orders, many of them received damaged goods. Some lipsticks were broken or bent, some had fungus on them, hair in them, bumps, and it looked like the lipsticks had dirt in them. Lots of people went online and recorded their experience with the lipsticks that were delivered and opened, and it doesn't look good. It really looks like it may be a failed project. I don't know. We'll see. Some had also some bad allergic reaction to the lipsticks. So there may be a lawsuit. There are some rumblings that they may be a class action lawsuit against the product for fraud and tampered products. Jaclyn today is Thursday, just posted a YouTube video apologizing for the products and the quality. She stated and blamed the lab for the mishaps, the hair that was shown on the product, the packaging, and just the way things have been handled the last 6 or 7 days. And now they are refunding everybody who ordered their lipsticks without even the people returning the product to the company. So that's huge. To speak on, basically we effed up, you guys. We'll send you a refund. There you go. I wanted to speak on the subject because being socially famous has its ups and downs. Jaclyn was praised for years for being innovative, creative, and a young woman who essentially pioneered the wave of YouTube vlogging and helped make YouTube what it is today. On the downside, she is quickly to be criticized for something she had no control over. She's not a chemist, and she's not a scientist. She had faith in a lab that hoped was doing a good job, the best job possible for the clients, for the customers, us. It's funny how we tend to hate. It's funny how so much hate can come to a young woman trying to be successful and an entrepreneur and receive so much negativity. She tried to make her own company, thrived to the need of others, and it didn't work out. I wanted to say to everyone, basically, I've already talked and spoke on this, that this is brand new to me. And a couple of friends wanted to make sure, once this becomes a certain hit or it hits a certain type of vibe or some type of momentum, it can get really, really big. And me being on the social media, I get nervous sometimes. I'm like, I get nervous that someone's going to criticize me, say something negative about me, the way I look, the way I sound. But I know I'm doing this for myself. And I hope, Jaclyn, I don't know if you're listening, that you did this makeup company, you did this launch for yourself, not just because you wanted to appease the masses, but we knew from all your videos the last 9 years that you are passionate for makeup. You are passionate for creating new looks and practicing and playing with makeup, just like we were little kids and little girls. We love to play with makeup. But now you made this a great business venture. My point is everybody who has been knocking Jaclyn Hill down, stop and think about where she was. She was a woman who came from the Midwest. She moved to Florida. Her mom and dad had a divorce. She's decided to start this venture of vlogging and being someone who she is great. She's a great person. I think she's really nice. I think she's very talented. And we want to cheer her on. This is a mishap. This is a misstep that she had in her company. This is a brand new product that Jaclyn Hill created from the mind of her own, her PR, her management. And unfortunately, the people who were the yes people disappointed her. She's going to recover. And we want to encourage all young men and women to this day to start making these decisions for themselves, not because social media told them to, but out of passion. Arnel, you spoke about your passion tonight, being a doctor and being a dancer. Would you ever stop that if someone told you and criticized you about you had a misstep in one of a performance, or you didn't look good at this one particular show or this TV performance? What would you do to keep going?
I mean, there are certain criticisms that are that you grow from, and there are certain ones that no one knows except for you and your shoes. You know what the whole situation is, so you have to navigate both.
Yes.
You know, that's why I feel like before you launch any business or you have to do a lot of soul searching and know who you are. And ongoing through your life, you need to check in with yourself and always know who you are. So,
Absolutely.
Because what you do is an extension of who you are and how well you know yourself.
Clout chasing is definitely the word for 2019. There's a lot of clout chasers out there, and the people who have been complaining about Jaclyn Hill are nothing but clout chasers. They just wanted the name and to say that they were being negative about her. But I want to say, keep moving forward, Jaclyn. You're doing well, and I love makeup. You love makeup. Do this for yourself, girl.
Yeah, remember why you did it in the first place.
And remember why you did it in the first place.
Keep innovating.
Congratulations, Jaclyn.
And none of those naysayers have any idea what it's like to run a business.
No.
Have no clue.
This woman is already a millionaire.
Right.
She's already made it.
And if they do, they don't know how to run yours.
Okay.
For sure.
For sure. And that's your wiglet of the week. I really want to say thank you, Arnel. Did you have a good time?
I loved it, yes. You know, I love you.
I love you.
Hanging out with both of you has been...
Thank you. It was really nice meeting you, although we probably met before.
Yes.
Some point in our lives, I know you two have met before.
Yes.
One of my parties or something.
We've never done this.
We've never done this.
We've never done this.
This kind of disgusting and sharing.
So I wanted to close out definitely that to look forward to your new ventures with the merchandise for Kinjaz, your dance therapy camp. What is the dance therapy camp called again?
Awesome Shock. They named themselves. So Culture Shock, Future Shock, Mighty Shock, Mini Shock are other programs, but the kids themselves named themselves Awesome Shock.
And they are awesome. They are awesome. So thank you, Arnel.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for listening and continuing to listen to continue to subscribe to the podcast. This month, as we said before, we're celebrating the LGBT community Pride Month. And next week we have 2 more extraordinary guests. We have writing and acting duo Robert Rice and Tim O'Leary, and they're going to discuss working for the Hollywood Machine and their new collaboration, Demon Hunter. It's going to be this new web series for the masses. I'm not going to give you too much tea this week because they're going to explain exactly what their show is about, and they are going to be our brand new guest co-hosts for next week's show. Stay tuned. And as always, I am Queen ShanShan, and thank you for listening to Abroad.